There's so much time, so much stuff to talk about this. There really isn't enough time in 15 minutes, but we're going to try to make it that way. So, this is the Skywatcher Adventurer Pro. Um, I like it, and then there are pieces to it that I don't like, but all in all, it's pretty cool for a budget. It does some pretty cool stuff if you're going to use daytime. If you're going to not just concern yourself with astrophotography nighttime. There are some cool features on this that, like I said, are cool. One of the things that I really, it's not that I don't like it, but I'm real leery that the more you put on here, the taller this unit gets. It's a small, small lightweight unit, and the further away you get from the base, the more wiggly wonky stuff is going to happen. That's almost a guarantee. Yeah, we'll say there. And with this, you're going to have to experiment with how much distance you really want there. You can go way down. I usually put it about halfway. But pretty much, let's see here. Now, this is not set to my angle. I will do that right here real quick. I wish I could bolt it down to that mount, but one of the things about this is there's a lot of plastic on it. I think that's what makes it so lightweight. Let me get here. Where are we looking at? That's 45, so that's about 40. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay. That's about how it's going to sit here in Northern California. So the counterweight's going to be out here. Whoa, that's coming off. So if you look at the distance, and this is with nothing on it, from here, the base, to here, and then your equipment's going to be a little bit taller, that's a long distance to be on a small base, single bolt mounting. So I always tell myself, and whenever I talk about these, is to get as low a profile as you can, because if you're going to use it for like short exposure astrophotography and you're going to get polar alignment, you're going to have at least enough distance where you're not laying on the ground to see through the polar scope. I find that this Orion, which is about 30 inches, is about perfect. And that way your equipment's only about right here. So, yeah. But like I said, there is a lot of plastic on here. But there are some pros opposed to the Orion AstroView. The battery pack is internal, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's handy. For the area that your battery pack for the AstroView, you can I have another battery, not a battery pack, but batteries. I always put another set of batteries in here, so it's easy to change. It does have a really nice, and it's clocked polar scope, and the clocking on it is really like they really did a good job with that. But the plastic. Both the clutch locks are plastic. You can't really get away unless you really want to spend quite a bit of money on having metal knobs. And the other part that is a pro is, an up, is the controls. There's no wires going anywhere. You don't have a controller or anything like that. Everything is controlled right here in this knob. There is a downside to it. It turns really easy. And if you're not careful while putting it back in its box, I always suggest just pop this out and pop your batteries out. That way, when you load it into the box or into the box, if it does turn on, it's not going to be on and really torquing in the box. This is going to start moving. You can't, I don't house it in the box altogether. It's just this top unit. So it will move, but if you just pop the batteries off, then there's no chance of it starting to torque in the box and mess stuff up. This is kind of a weak point here. It gets really spindly, kind of here, and that's the language I want to use. And the taller you get, the more susceptibility you are to wind. So I would always, and it doesn't come with a tripod. So I've been meaning to try to use this. I have, what is it? It came with a really funny mount on it, but is it a flat top? It's a flat top tripod, and it's fairly low, and it's only 2-stage like this Orion. What the heck was that? 11 hook or something like that? 11 hook? And it doesn't have that north pin. So you can do your left to right for polar alignment. So, oh, that's why. I thought, oh, wait a minute. Did that come loose again? But it didn't. It was just I didn't tighten the bar, the counterweight bar. But even with this really tight, there is some movement in this angle piece here. That's what, so with any tiny amount, and there's no way to get rid of that unless you really reef down on this handle, this plastic handle. I wouldn't recommend that. I wouldn't recommend it. Now, if you had a buddy, I do have a buddy with a machine shop, but he moved up to Oregon, the eastern side, I think, eastern side of Oregon. He could have machined me a nice aluminum one. That all this does is pinch these two together, and that's it. It's just more like a pinch joint there. So that's part that I really don't like, but it is what it is. This mount and that mount are about the same price-wise, about $325, $350, somewhere in there. But this I've had for 12 years. This I've only had for about 4 years, and I've only used it very small times. Now, there are things that I would recommend you do. Big things that I would recommend you don't ever do is, take your wife's aerobic weight because it doesn't have enough counterweight, and duct tape, one of them little walking weights or whatever, or anything like that. Anything that doesn't lock down to the shaft, I wouldn't put on there. I've seen a lot of people put like barbell weights on bigger mounts like that Atlas back there, and the center is not the correct size. So even though you think you have it pinched together, the two counterweights pinched together over this weightlifting plate, it's going to drop, which is going to go clunk, and it's going to ruin your picture. Guaranteed, it's going to ruin your picture. So, if anything, I would search in the Skywatcher catalog to see where we at here. Oh, to see if maybe you could buy another one. Since you can't buy anything from Mead, well, you can, but it's going to be like a pallet load. Mead and Orion are now out of business, from what I understand. I haven't gone and read the whole article, but I think today through the 17th is they're auctioning off everything in the warehouses down in Santa Cruz, Watsonville area in California. I live here about an hour north of San Francisco, hour north of the Golden Gate Bridge. This is really not enough. It is if you just put a camera and lens on it. You put a small scope, even all the way down at the end, it's real sketchy, weight-wise or balancing-wise. And the good thing is is you can extend this weight by just sliding this all the way down to where it's pretty much like that, which gives you a little more distance down, so it will counteract it. I personally run it about halfway, but I also already had an upgraded weight off of a Mead equatorial mount. It was a little bit larger on the center hole, but I filled it with a piece of, I think this is a 1/2 inch outside diameter fuel line, which I then cut and made it the right length, and measured where the lock pin, thumb lock bolt goes in, and then just drilled that and then put it down in there. It was kind of funky because, you got to make, okay, right here, it's got to go there, and, a little WD to make it slide easier, or spit, whatever you want to do, a little soap. And it actually clamps down. Now, I would never recommend to put a bar barrel plate or anything like that on there, because it's going to affect the outcome of whatever you're doing. Photography, especially with photography. One little movement and that photo is done. This is actually 5 pounds. I think the original one here is 3. So this, and you don't have to drop it all the way to the bottom of the bar. Now the other upgrade, which is an upgrade, both of them are actually upgrades, is this dovetail receiver mount, Vixen receiver mount. On this mounting situation on the deck here, it's a, why are you out there? It's a 1/4 by 20 bolt. That's it. So, in the bottom of your, like, okay, say you're going to use a camera, it's just going to screw into the back of the camera. So then the lens is going to be way out here. You have no real balancing capability. This is like $35. Doesn't matter. You get it on tight, nice and snug, pop the clutch loose. I always try to keep the slow motion knob and this dovetail tightening knob separate on opposite sides, and you just tighten it up, and there you go. Now you can slide, you can put your telescope or you can put your camera and lens on a dovetail, and you have some kind of balancing capability. $35. Now this all, there is no tripod, so like I said, I'd recommend a flat top, low profile one, and if you're not opposed to laying on the ground to get your polar alignment, you're all good to go. I have a much taller one, which I regret buying because it is really tall and real susceptibility to even light breezes. And as far as photography goes, you want it to be as stable as possible no matter what. All right. Thank you for watching.